everyone. Welcome to a conversation with Dr. Sharma today. As everyone knows, this is my first conversation. I don't want to call it a podcast. I don't want to call it an interview because I have a vision for all the content that we put out, okay, to serve two purposes in life. Number one, impact. Every conversation I have, you are going to find some way or the other that it can impact your life. The kind of people I choose to have conversations with are also very special. They are people who are making impact in their own fields, all across the globe, all across the world. And the whole point of getting them into the limelight, into the spotlight, is because everyone needs to know about these people. And today we have Dr. Sharma. I've known him for years. He's a he practices heartfulness meditation. In fact, that's what got us connected. And he is a pediatric doctor. He's an allopathic doctor. And I'm going to read out a little bit of his intro, but then hand it over to him. He's an associate professor in pediatrics and pediatric critical care, a member of the Royal College of Pediatrics and Child Health, has served and trained in the pediatric intensive care of Apollo Hospitals, Chennai, India. He has an excellent academic career and is a national gold medalist in pediatrics 2006, awarded by the National Board of Exams. He's a certified member of the Earth Association for Regression Therapy. And that's what we're going to learn about today, because that intrigues me. I have heard about the work, seen the work. We've had common patients over the last couple of years. And where medicine has its limitations, where nutrition has its limitations, there is always something else beyond medicine that can come and actually save people's lives. So Dr. Sharma is an author. He's released his first book. And that's what actually made me reconnect with Dr. Sharma over the last couple of weeks when I got my hands on his book. We're going to post more about this book so you could pick it up. I've read every page, and I have to be honest with you, I read books that can impact my mind. Otherwise, they're a waste of time. And in this book, The Metaphors of Memory, okay, it is something that you will not be able to put down while you start reading it. But my personal advice is read one chapter, one case, put it down and reflect, absorb it in, and then read the next and the next and the next. I made the mistake of reading the whole book because it was so intriguing. And then I had to read it back again, chapter by chapter, just to soak everything in and, lock on to the magical work that he's doing. When I say magical work, upfront, there are no magic drugs in this planet. There is no magic diet, no magic superfoods, no magic medicine. The magic is in the human body, the intelligence that we're all born with that has the ability to help us heal, recover when it's broken down. And in integrative medicine, you put the best of everything together. Dr. Sharma, pediatrics, you started your career in pediatrics. I know parents whose children you have treated and they speak so highly of your work. You were completely into pediatrics and then you started meditating, heartfulness, your journey changed into past life regression, which we're going to talk about. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your journey? And even I want to know what made you integrate, meditation, integrate past life regression with your allopathic practice. And thank you so much. You're a busy man, and we're very lucky to have you with us today.
Thank you, Luke, for the nice introduction. My journey began when I was doing my residency in pediatrics. So I was intrigued by a child who was actually suffering from lymphoblastic leukemia, ALL it's called. He was 4-year-old. I was doing rounds, and when I was inside, I found another kid with him. So I thought the other kid was his elder brother, but the mom says, no, they are identical twins. And it shocked me because I was wondering if there are genetic links to cancer. We now know that, we have genes that are responsible for cancer. So I was thinking they're both 100% identical, genetically, physically. They have the same environment that they grew in. They were in the same womb for 9 months. Now, what's the difference between them? Why is one kid suffering, lost all hair, looks emaciated, looks half the size of his twin brother, and in 3 months everything changed for this boy? And she showed the picture; they look absolutely identical. So that was very surprising. And of course, I began meditation at the age of 18. And of course, I had a lot of spiritual guidance from my gurus. And when I started looking and hearing about stuff, so what's the difference between these two boys? The difference was the soul. So there are two different souls. So there is this karma that is different for different souls. Some religions don't believe in the past life, but in some religions which believe in past life, the theory of karma. So this soul was carrying a different set of karma, though they were identical physically in this life. So that was one thing. First thing was, yes, because I was born in a Brahmin family, I know what karma is and how it affects, and Bhagavad Gita, what's told. But then it was very intriguing to know that we can access a past life. Number one. So that was a shock. How can I access a past life which doesn't exist? So my brain today, my body, my mind, I mean, how can it register something that it never lived? Because the human life begins with a cell, one tiny cell, which, I mean, how can you access a whole life's memory or many lives' memory? That was a complete shock. So that was then accessing the past life to heal yourself was a second shock. I mean, that's even weird. How can you just heal? So that's what intrigued. And my guru once told me, he said, remember how much we don't know. In this lies the wisdom. So you must always remember there is so much that we don't know. And what you are wearing today are blinkers and focused on one thing. No, open up your panorama. I mean, open up your vision to different things. There are lots that you can learn. And one powerful statement that nothing works for everyone, but something works for everyone. Not everything will work for everyone, but something will work for everyone. So it's not that regression works for everyone. It's not that nutrition works for everyone. It's not that allopathy works for everyone. But for that person, what works, we don't know. So that's why when I approach, I'm open to everything, because having learned allopathy science, I know its advantages and disadvantages. I had deep interest in Ayurveda, so I was parallelly learning a little bit of Ayurveda. And homeopathy, I've seen people getting a lot of benefits with it, especially chronic conditions. So that's how the journey began. And time after time, after 1 year of doing my therapy personally, it took me 1 year to convince myself that it works. And I had my own experience that I could not deny, because I looked back and found out, yes, these names I never knew in this life, and that place I could find out and relate with. So that was magical for me.
That's awesome, Dr. Sharma. And then you started practicing it. I mean, I know you have a massive wait list, 3 to 6 months to get an appointment with you. Obviously, you are creating impact. And, one vision of the show is I want people on my show and my conversations who are creating impact. There are so many people that we can talk, and there are a lot of people who talk, but not much impact. So every conversation is, valuable to us because it's your time, it's my time. But my point is, can we get straight into it? And can you tell us exactly what past life regression is? Because I'll be honest with you, I know a lot of people who have gone through it. I've seen a lot of people heal. Okay, I'm open to it because it works, but I don't understand it. And I'm sure our audience would also like to understand it in the simplest way possible. Because in this book, what intrigued me in the book were the stories and the cases that you put. The way you explained it, what happened during the treatment, what happened during the sessions, their life after that, and even in the cases that it just didn't work. Like you rightly said, it doesn't have to work for everyone. So why don't you take us through what past life regression is? Who should explore this as a way of healing? Should people just jump into it immediately? So if you can take us through that, that would be great.
Yeah. So what does regression mean? Regression means moving back in time. So that's just regression. Now, regression could be in the current life or in the past life. So not everybody needs to go into a past life. I have a set of clients, maybe 20 to 30% of clients, who just need current life regression, who just needs to explore what happened in this life from the time of conception, in the womb or outside the womb, in the infancy or during childhood or even during adulthood. But sometimes we find a shadow, an old wound in the past. And when we explore that, we definitely need to explore the trigger in the current life and resolve it. Only then the work is complete. Otherwise, it's unfinished business. So most of them relate saying past life regression. No, I would call it just regression therapy. And in this regression therapy, they can be both facets, past life and current life.
Okay.
So
Go ahead, doctor.
sorry, what happens in this is, so when you move back, you basically begin with a problem. So what is the problem that I'm facing right now? For example, I'm claustrophobic. So what does claustrophobia mean? Claustrophobia is fear of closed spaces. So I begin with asking them, okay, why are you scared of closed space? What happens? I feel suffocated. I said, then what happens? I can't breathe. And then what happens? And I may die. I may die not seeing light, not breathing air. So basically, I'm scared to die in a closed space, not getting enough oxygen. And when you repeat the sentence, your body automatically throws up somatic charges. It can be tightness in the chest, heavy breathing, palpitations, losing energy in the body, or legs feeling a tingle. And then when we connect, they move back into a lifetime where they actually experience this traumatic experience, emotional trauma, the feeling, and surprisingly, the current body goes to the same experiences the body underwent in the past life. The same charges intensify, and when you release those charges, and when you digest the death, and when you let go of whatever trauma you were carrying, and then you come to the current life, what triggered it? Oh, my sister locked me in the cupboard when I was 2.5 years old. So then I can't breathe. I'm almost dying. I'm banging the door. And suddenly the servant maid comes and rescues me. And then I conclude I shall never go into a closed space again. Because if I go into a closed space, I will die. So you create a conclusion. And this conclusion makes you decide something, and then you start developing coping mechanisms to bypass that fear. Okay, lift? No, I won't go alone. No, let somebody be there. No, I better take steps. So you develop coping mechanisms, and the impact is finally shown. Oh, I am scared of closed spaces. And then when we finish the session, when we repeat the same sentence, you find the body doesn't react in the same way anymore. You don't feel the tightness, you don't feel the palpitations, you don't feel the tremble in the feet, things like that. So people who don't believe in past lives, I have clients who have come from different faiths. I just tell them, just go with an open mind. I just ask them, do you trust me? Yes, Dr. Natwar, I trust you. I said, that's what is enough. So I'm with you. I'm going to go with you. Just let your mind open up and release whatever is throwing out. Ultimately, what is that you desire from the session? That you want to get the relief. So the proof of the pudding is in the results. So after 2-3 months, suppose your problem is resolved. You're done with it. At that juncture, if you want to believe it or not believe it, it's your point. You want to believe it, fine. You don't want to believe it, it's fine. The problem is resolved. So that's how I deal with people who don't believe in past life regression. But having said that, what kind of clients I don't take? So clients who don't trust, who have trust issues, who don't have faith in this process, who are not in their current self, or who are on multiple antipsychotic medications, who have, who are advanced schizophrenics and things like that. Or especially when, the spouse saying, no, please treat him. The spouse is not willing.
Yeah, I have that too as well. But the spouse drags either partner and they say, sit down now, listen to what Luke's saying and do. And you can just see it on their face, they're not ready. Those are the sessions we actually end and, immediately, because it's not going to have an impact. Now, doctor, what you say is just fabulous. I would be one of those people when I heard the word past life regression maybe 4 years ago, I would be like, what's all this? What is all of this stuff? Okay, but as I started to see people really doing it, and I was at Tata Memorial 2 years ago, where there was a child with a brain cancer again, and this girl was being treated by a lady who was taking her through past life regression. That girl in the ward healed faster than anyone else. They were all getting the same treatments and everything else. And that's when I started looking at, who are we to, it's not an invasive treatment. No one's giving you any drug that can cause anything. No one's trying to spiritually change your path or your religion. And that's when I started researching this. And then your book came into my life. And then I started looking at the science behind it, because I want to look at the science. And I was amazed to see all the science behind past life regression. I'm a fan of neuroplasticity and the brain. And it just connects so beautifully with what you're saying in current life regression. Now, the past life regression, I would like you to explain that a little more when people actually go into multiple lives before. Can you explain that to us and give us an example of some of the cases that you probably had? That would be interesting.
Sure. So look, the reason why it took me so long to bring the book out is the reason that I was trying to collect evidence, So in my book, if you notice, I have connected science with regression, allopathic part with regressions, as to how certain feelings, how certain emotions impact the cells and produce diseases in the cells and manifest as a syndrome in this life. It could be arthritis, it could be migraine, it could be various disorders that we usually asthma and things like that. And when you ask the science behind it, let me give you one example. So, Galileo is the one who used the telescope first time.
Okay.
Though Hans invented telescope, he's the one who used the telescope, and he is the one who championed Copernicus' theory of that Earth is not the center, sun is the center of the universe, kind of thing. So this was actually taken badly by the Roman church, and they actually arrested him and put him in there. But if you look back, so science is what? Science is just knowledge. So if I bring somebody from 16th century today and show him an aeroplane, people, interacting on, like we interacting miles away, they would say it's magic or it's witchcraft or something weird, you're doing something weird. So just because science hasn't found tools to back up regression or something, it doesn't mean doesn't exist. So absence of evidence doesn't mean evidence of absence.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's what, keeps me open. So my purpose now is to find out how to scientifically find the basis for regression. Like, I'm able to connect, but how is it possible to actually validate it scientifically? So what leaves the body at death? The soul leaves the body. So what the soul carry along with it? So I feel it's like energy matrix around it, which is invisible, a vibration, a matrix of vibrations or energies that's carried. For example, today, I don't see data coming into my laptop. My laptop has, a receiver. Tons of data is coming in, but I don't see the data coming in. So that explains. So it's all in the form of vibrations. So similarly, we need to find out when the soul exits, what kind of vibration does it carry? So this energy matrix is nothing but all the memories it carries along with it. The next slide. Yeah. And so I'm looking at various aspects as to how this can be proven, what can be done. Let's see what future holds. Next thing is about any cases that, I deal with clients almost on a daily basis. So there are so many cases. Is there anything specific that you want to know about any case?
No, in fact, I don't want to discuss the cases in your book because I want people to actually read your book. But let's talk about, we have a lot of people in the audience who have gone through cancer. So how can you give us an example? Even for children, I know I don't want to mention names, but I know a couple of days ago, I had a very serious patient, a child who was referred to me. And then once I observed the case, it was an intuition to put you on the cases where they got in touch with you and stuff. And 3 days later, the girl is absolutely fine. She spent that time with you. Okay. So can you tell us, I know what the case was. What did you do? And for people with cancer, how do you see the memories of the past, the karma, healing them? So if you can give us an overview of that, that'll be great. But to everyone watching this or listening in, you got to get this book. It's not because of any other reason, but only you want to read real life stories of people. And it's an intriguing book. That's all I can say. And it's a must have. Over to you, doctor.
Yeah. So let me give you a client I had with endometrial carcinoma. So the endometrium. So endometrium is the lining inside the uterus. And she was about 38. And before endometrial carcinoma, the history of endometriosis was also present. Endometriosis is a condition where you have chocolate cysts, very painful chumps women go through, and it's a very painful condition. So this is what happened. And she was in deep pain. She said, I don't know how long I'm going to live. Husband and wife, and after that, she never had the chance to get pregnant again. So that happened when she was 31 years, so approximately 7 years ago. And every year she would blame herself, go through the guilt, I killed my child. That's why God is not giving me children, kind of thing. So I begin asking, guilt comes up, sad feeling comes up, feeling lonely comes up. And then I take her into a trance and she moves back into a lifetime wherein she is a landlord's daughter, very rich, almost like, next to the Jagirdar and things like that, who would have owned the princely states, kind of thing. So she was 16, and that's when she falls in love with her father's accountant son, Munim, they call him. And the father wants her. He says, please don't get married to him. It's not right. I don't feel good vibes from him. But she insists, no. She says, I'm in love with him and all that. And what turns out is she gets married, and after that, things completely change for her, because this guy wants power now, because she's the only daughter. And the father wants her to come up. The father wants her to actually take charge, and because he brought her like a son, because he had only one daughter, he said, no, my daughter will take care of everything. And then he abuses her, and he's verbally abusive, very tough time, and father is not able to take, he's heartbroken, he dies. And then she's pregnant, and now she doesn't want the child. She feels, this child, what will I do? This guy is always, making my life hell. And then she stands up to actually rebel him, and she wants to get the village support. But what he does is, he takes her and dumps her in a dungeon. And here she's about 7-8 months pregnant, and she is, actually very depressed, stopped eating, and she's actually about to deliver, and the bleeding starts, the baby is about to come out, there's nobody to help her. And in that pain, she dies. And at death, she concludes, I'm responsible for all this. I'm responsible for baby's death. I'm responsible for all the pain I created. I'm responsible for my father's death. He was heartbroken because of me. Huge guilt, and she dies in that pain while the baby is stuck. Baby is not delivered, it's in the birth passage. And during the process, she's actually going through terrible pain. When I'm doing the session, there are tears and she's painful. She said, please get me out, kind of thing, because yes, it is quite traumatic. And then somehow we release the pain, we tell her it's over, fine. So what triggers her in this life? So in this lifetime, again, she falls in love with a guy who is her colleague, and she's about 21 at that time. And after 7 years, around 28, she gets married. Again, the same story begins, wherein she's feeling like a victim because he changes completely. He's beginning to abuse her. He's not taking care of her. And then she gets pregnant at 31. And there's a conflict to keep the child or not to keep the child, and things like that. And that's a time they decide to abort. And while undergoing the abortion, she's feeling something is stuck when they're trying to remove, because the baby is about 5 months, 4.5 or 5 months. And she's feeling stuck, and that's what triggers the whole thing. After the procedure, she feels, now I'm not getting pregnant, I killed the child. And she was separated from her parents. She was not in talking terms with parents because she married this guy. So they abandoned her. So she's feeling nobody loves me anymore. I've abandoned everyone. Because of this guy, I left everything, but now nothing is left for me. And she starts getting this endometriosis pain somewhere around 27, 28. And then, so the bleeding increases, they diagnose endometrial carcinoma. And that's where we find that, so much of guilt stored there. I didn't do things right. I made wrong decisions, wrong choices. Yes. So this is in brief as to what can happen behind the real diseases.
So yeah, you've taken it so much deeper because, most of our patients are cancer patients. And I can blindly say, yes, there are genes, genetics involved. But for me today, if you ask me, like 99% of our patients have a deeply rooted emotion. Very difficult to validate, very difficult to prove in science. But when you spend over 8,000 hours talking to patients, hours and hours over the last couple of years, you relate it. But you've taken it way, way deeper, which actually shows the healing. Because I, at my level, may find out, yes, and the patient, like I had a 64-year-old cancer patient, breast cancer, and she flew to Mumbai to see me. And I wanted to get to the bottom of it. And finally, she broke down and cried. And I was the first person she admitted to that she got raped as a child by her uncle at the age of 4. At 8, she got raped by another uncle. By 14, when she could express it, she told her father, and her father said, if you ever speak about this again, okay, your life will end because of shame and stuff like that. So she's carried that. Now, when she delivered children, okay, she was obviously overprotective because she knows how men are, not generalizing with all men. So her own family started going against her, saying, oh, you're possessive about your child. You don't want to share your child. And she was still this selfish. So the emotions and the guilt kept on building over and over until the age of 64. She got a cancer. She's living now. And the beautiful part is when she broke down and she cried and expressed everything, she just felt at the end of the day that it's out there right now. But I can see what you're doing by going into those feelings way, way, way deeper, because everyone's carrying a past. Doctor, I mean, I'm a believer that everyone has a good side and a bad side, dark and light. Every single human being. But I think the ones who have pushed the dark soul within them and suppressed it and closed it all up, are the ones who kind of tend to get diseases. And when it's released, the healing is magical. It's nothing short of a miracle. But doctor, I want to ask you something related to these emotions, because today people are burdened with emotions. Everyone's carrying it, so of course they can do these sessions with you. But to a general person, what would your advice be when I know, example, not me, hypothetically, a person says, I know I have this guilt. I know I have this anger. I know I have this negativity. And it's burdened with all the loss of your loved ones. And it just becomes a bundle of emotions. Now, I know telling people to meditate, telling people to pray is a good enough, band-aid to put onto the problem. But to go deeper and deeper, what do you suggest? How can human beings learn to actually express and deal with all of these things?
Yeah. So as you rightly said, Luke, everyone doesn't need regression. There are people who just hear a sentence or read a sentence in a book and it's an enlightening moment for them and they can let go. So in the first phase, so when people talk about shame, guilt, and fear, I can quote one sentence from Autobiography of Yogi, Yogan Paramahamsa. He says, we all have lived lives in darkness and shame. There are no exceptions. That's what you said. We all have a dark side. Some people suppress, some people express. And when you exist on earth, we are bound by laws of duality. When there is white, there is black. When there is dark, there is fairness. When there is truth, when there is lies. So it's like, they do exist together in balance. That's what we say, rise beyond the dualities. That's when you actually go to a realm where you understand the purpose of human life. So as long as you're stuck in duality, you're never out of it. Go beyond it. Number 2, it's always good to express it out to someone you can confide in. Yeah, because this lady who came and spoke to you, so it was good of you to create an environment for her, a safe environment for her to express out, to let out, because it's not easy, Luke, to develop trust and speak out your darkest things. So congratulations to you to do that, number 1. Number 2, if you can't do that, I would say at least sit in front of the mirror, speak it out, let it out. Yeah. Because you look in your own eyes and speak it out. Then I would suggest, if a mistake has happened from your side, tell yourself, I made a mistake. We all make mistakes. I will not repeat it. Yeah. And then we have certain things that we can do to regulate our mind. So what I personally do is meditation. As you know, heartfulness meditation, which actually grounds me, which keeps me, probably sane, because to deal with so much negativity, it's not easy to handle. So we have a very beautiful process called cleaning or cleansing. And in what we just release whatever we collected throughout the day, and then recharge ourselves every morning with meditation. So this regulates you. This is the prevention aspect of it. Or even if you're not able to let go, this actually helps you. But some people are still not able to let go. Then yes, speak to a psychologist. Or last step is regression, wherein you're still not able to let go. Yes, that means there is something inside you that's holding on, not letting it go, until you see the bigger picture. Because when I go into a victim mode, a self-pity mode, it's very difficult to let go. Because I'm feeling, no, I'm right, but no. It always takes two to tango, nothing happens with one person. So this is where we understand the karmic connection as to, oh, today I feel like a victim in this life. What happened in another lifetime? Oh, I was the victimizer. And then, oh, I understand why I brought this soul into my life to go through the suffering. Then whole picture becomes clear. See, I usually tend to give an example, this, suppose you're standing in front of a window and you see a man dragging a 3-year-old girl on the street running, and she has abrasions on the knees, she's bleeding, she's crying. You will feel very angry. What you would do, immediately run down. And when you go out on the street, you see there's a big fire in the factory, and this father is saving the child because he's not able to hold her and run, so just drag. And then what do you feel? Your anger goes away. You feel, oh, this is a great father, he's saving his daughter. And then, why did this happen? Why did you let go of your anger? Because you understood the whole picture now. You're looking from one angle. But in regression, we clarify all the corners. So like, you're not sitting in front of the tree and try to look at the forest. No, you move away from the tree, you rise above the forest, you look at the whole picture now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's powerful, doctor.
Yeah, and then that wisdom actually helps you let go and move on. Otherwise, it's not easy to move on. So there's several stages. And the reason, Luke, I feel book is an important source, because a lot of people who write the review, they say, on this specific page, in this specific chapter, I read that line and it changed my life. Then I realized regression is not for everyone. Some people just need a piece of advice. Some people just need to learn from some other's mistakes. Yeah, so that they don't need to hold on. So.
Wow, that's powerful, doctor. I mean, it comes down again to the mind perspective, what we see. And of course, there are mysteries in life which people are scared to actually believe in. Sometimes when we ask people, like, I think there are miracles happening all the time, doctor, all the time. Some of us call it divine grace. Some of us call it luck. But I think there are miracles all the time. Even when we see cancer patients go in remission, I don't think I have a single cancer patient who then becomes aggressive with what they went through. When you get cancer, there's denial, all the stages, there's denial, there's anger, there's depression. But after they're in remission, most of them have something positive to say about it. They're saying, if this didn't happen, I wouldn't be who I am today. So maybe that's the larger picture. I mean, it would have been better without the suffering and everything, but it was a necessary journey for that patient. And they see the bigger picture because they've gone through the entire journey of suffering and close to death and fear and everything else. Doctor, I have a question for you. We know today that everyone knows, most people know what to do. They know they should exercise, they know they should sleep well, they know that drugs are bad, that smoking is an example. People already know that they need to look after emotional wellness. They know that their past can affect their present and their future. But when people know all of these things, they have all the tools, why is it the most difficult thing for people to actually do it or practice it? You know, a lot of people say, oh, I'm lazy, but no, there's something beyond that. You know, you can't say I'm lazy if I know I'm a 4th stage lung cancer patient, my family is outside crying for my recovery, and I'm still on my, 10th cigarette, moving on to the 11th, so people know what to do, everyone. I call it the perfect truth. I have a perfect truth. If I have an area of opportunity, I know what I need to change. I may not be doing it, but I know it. So why does this happen with the human race, especially in today's time when we have access? We all know there's the property fight happening between families, the brothers, the sisters, they know it's wrong, but it's the ego, the pride. What makes it so difficult? And in your practice, what kind of tools would you use, or what have you experienced? I'm very intrigued to know. And the reason I asked this question is because a lot of cases in your book kind of relate to these things, where people obviously knew what to do, but they just didn't do it.
Yeah. So look, that's a very important question. And I would like to answer it in probably 2 or 3 parts.
Sure.
The first one is what I call mass conditioning. Mm-hmm. See, if you look at today's world, the biggest industry is gratification. Yeah. Gratification industry is the richest and biggest industry today. And if you look at this from different aspects, number one, you look at foods. It's about fast foods, quick foods that really stimulate your taste buds. And people add different chemicals to make it, addictive, tangy, and give you a quick feel of it. Then when you look at internet speed, we started with 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. It's just going up and up and up. You look at investments, we were happy with investing in gold, which would slowly appreciate, then in fixed deposits. Then you look at share market, day trading or intra trading, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And now it's crypto, wherein they want to make a quick buck. And because you are into health and all these things, you know how people want to make a quick 6-pack, big bulk. They don't mind taking drugs, steroids, supplements. And somewhere I find that people are not bothered for long-term gains. They want everything here and now. You post something on the Facebook, they want instant likes, tick, tick, tick. How many likes have come? Gratification. Very small, but how many likes have come? Instant gratification I'm seeking for. And this industry is wanting, they have realized that, the more you give them, the more they want. So today we are completely mass conditioned. And because of this, we've lost 2 major, I would call strengths of human race rather. Number 1 is patience. Number 2 is willpower. See, if you look at patience, how many of us today have patience? We are so restless. Okay, time has come. Okay, what happened? Swiggy ordered food. Why Swiggy food has not come? 20 minutes, they're supposed to reach. We're constantly looking. How much restlessness has been created in us with this speed. So this speed, the mass conditioning with speed is really taking us over. And I asked one person, I said, look, you're using 5G. So he is a very rich man. I said, there's enough data showing that 5G can be harmful and, it can be disastrous. The studies are being suppressed and we don't know 10 years down the line what happens. Doctor, I don't know. Today is the problem. I need the speed. I have 3 kids who are undergoing classes. They need this kind of speed to handle. So you are at a juncture where you're, okay, cancer 10 years down the lane, fine. I mean, that kind of acceptance has come. Can you imagine? Speed is driving us so much that we are not actually worrying about the future. So today's buck, if I make my buck today, that's fine kind of thing. So the patience is gone and the willpower. If you notice, where does willpower come from? When you exercise it. So tomorrow morning, I need to wake up at 5 o'clock. If I wake up at 5 o'clock, the second day my willpower becomes stronger. The third day becomes, 4th day, it becomes a habit. Within a week's time. But if I weaken, if I don't use it, it becomes weaker and weaker. Like I build the muscle, the more exercise, the stronger it becomes. And in today's world, we find the will is becoming weaker. So if you don't see instant results, we give up. So first step is, suppose I want to lose weight. Okay. I need to look for the gym first. I look at the gym, then I pay the subscription fees, then I go to the gym. So 3 obstacles crossed. But then how long do I continue? Oh man, I've been going to the gym for 10 days now. Yeah, look at this flap. I mean, what is this? Nothing happening. Look at those Instagram pictures. Look at those guys posing off. So see how somebody shows on a video in 6 weeks transformation. You don't see the truth behind it. What has happened in 6 weeks? This guy has nothing else to do. He just works on his body. He doesn't go to office, doesn't have not need to worry about his salary. He doesn't have to make a living for his family. He's independent. He's well versed. He just has to focus on the body. He doesn't mind taking steroids. He doesn't mind taking supplements. He has the best supplements from the world. So you cannot compare. So today's world is about comparison. Oh, didn't do, nothing happened. Okay, quit it. Yeah. And in this process, once you quit, the second time becomes more difficult. Oh, I already tried it, man. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. And that adds on and on. It becomes the same autopilot, thought process in your mind. It doesn't work for me. Second time you say, third time you say, first time with pencil, second time with pen, third time carved on the stone. Finish, pack up.
Yeah.
So, these 2 virtues are really being taken away, and the speed is actually, this speed thrills but kills kind of thing. So it's a very apt statement for today's world, I feel. We need to slow down. We need to take a pause.
No, absolutely. And people look for more complication. It all comes down to discipline, consistency, willpower again, and that takes patience. Discipline takes patience as well. No, that's a beautiful, very powerful answer. Thank you for that. Doctor, I wanted to ask you, people attract the same kind of people sometimes. They're in a pattern. Like, you get out of one relationship and for a particular reason, and you find that you go on attracting the same person right through. Like you may attract a person who's, you tend to attract people who have always gone through abuse by their parents, example. Or someone else attracts a partner who always physically abuses them or emotionally abuses them. Why does this pattern happen? And what does it take to break the pattern? Because again, the instant gratification and answer is just get a divorce, break up, and get onto Tinder, find someone else. Which I'm not against when people don't know how to handle it. But I'm sure there's another way. And why does this happen? Why do you tend to maintain patterns in your life? Is it because you think a particular way? Is it in your subconscious? Is it your past? Or if you can throw some light on that.
Yeah. So Luke, for example, you're carrying a magnet in your pocket, and you walk through a street. Your magnet is powerful enough to attract, iron particles, and they get stuck to your pocket.
Yeah.
Similarly, we carry a magnet inside us, an energy magnet, which actually keeps attracting the same kind of thing all the time. And this is the magnet that I created in the past, that can be in the current life or a past life. And that's why I keep attracting the same thing. For example, one gentleman says, I always feel betrayed in my life. I can never trust anyone. So when we dig up deeper, we find that yes, in a past life, he was a small-time farmer, but he worked hard. He became big, okay? And he had 3 younger brothers who were lazy, who didn't work hard or do anything. And but because of his hard work, he starts a small business, and things happen. He grows big, and he actually helps out all his 3 brothers. But one after the other, all 3 brothers betray him. And when the last brother betrays him, he feels, I don't want to live anymore. I spent all my life for these guys. So he's actually very old. He doesn't have children. So he considers these 3 younger brothers as children and does everything for them, but they want more and more, more and more. They're fighting amongst each other. And he dies in that key. I always got betrayed. I did hard work. I spent all my life, but I just got betrayed. I can never trust anyone. So in this life, when he's studying in the school, so he has a few friends, and then with these friends, he plans to start doing a drama, kind of stage drama and this thing. And it does very well, and he's becoming famous, becoming this thing. And what happens over a period of time that these three friends, they start sort of sidelining him and trying to take the name, and then they do something and they completely sideline him, and that's where he feels betrayed. See, I did everything, I trusted them, got betrayed. And then similarly, when he's in the college, something happens, he again feels betrayed. So every time he goes through incident, his conclusion, okay, this world is not a trustworthy place. I will never trust anyone. So never is a very strong word. Never is eternal. Like now it adds on and on and on. So this thing, event after event, becomes like a strong thing. Patthar ki lakir we call it, engraved on the stone. Then it starts attracting the same kind of thing. Like, magnet. The moment you release this magnet, tell yourself, okay, I got betrayed in this life, I got betrayed in the past life. Why the hell am I attracting betrayal in my life? What the hell did I create in the past? So I'm suffering so much. And then you move back in time, you find a lifetime where you are the victimizer, you are the perpetrator. Then you understand it, then you nullify this, and that's when this pattern breaks.
Wow.
Until then, this pattern keeps going on, like a gramophone record, one scratch on the gramophone record, every time it strikes that scratch, keen, that sound comes. So similarly, what you mentioned are patterns that we create, and these patterns can be broken.
Wow, that makes so much of sense. So doctor, are you still practicing in pediatrics, or have you moved completely into regression, past life regression? Tell us a little bit about your practice now.
So I practice as a consultant pediatrician and pediatric intensivist. So I deal with very sick children. I want to balance both because, see, regression work is exciting, adventurous, but it also taxing on your brain. I mean, it's not easy to deal with negativity all the time. So if you do one session a day, it actually is quite heavy on you. So I love balancing because I love interacting with kids, children. So it gives me sort of a break to be away from this mental work, to refresh myself, to recharge myself. So I balance them out. So I do both.
Oh, that's amazing, doctor. I mean, what intrigues me about you is there's always this want to learn more and more and put it into your practice, because I can understand, you see the health of children, you see emotional parents around you. I mean, it's a lot when it's kids and stuff. So with your current practice in pediatrics, what are 2 or 3 messages that you would like to leave with us? What you see in your practice with, health deteriorating in children today? Is there something that we can do better as parents, as a community, as a society, that can actually reduce the amount of sickness? I know sickness is vast, but what would your top 3 things come? Like, I know, for example, when someone says, Luke, what's causing most of the problems for me? It's acidity, constipation, sleep deprivation. 3 things come up immediately. Fix it and you can start the process of getting better. So when it comes to children, in your practice of pediatrics, what message would you like to give us?
Yeah. So Luke, let me go with observations which I've made. So number 1, what I'm finding in children in the last couple of years is, the biggest impact is because of the screen. I'm finding children coming with neck pains. Okay. I'm finding children coming with kyphosis, they're developing scoliosis. And one child actually, he's about 13-year-old, and we did an MRI, we found the disc is bulging already.
Wow.
And we found that this child is a gamer, and he spends about 3-4 hours gaming. See, you look at the tree, a plant. So the plant grows into tree. After a certain point of time, you cannot improve the girth anymore.
Yeah.
The way it's bent, the way it grows. So the biggest concern I have for the next decade is, if we don't maintain proper posture, proper hygiene, I think we are going to land up into a lot of physical issues with joints, issues with muscles. issues with the spine. This is going to be huge because constantly, the neck going forwards,
Yeah.
it's going to be very tough. And you see people slouching all the time. They don't maintain posture. For example, you have a good posture, but they're slouching, the shoulders are crowding, and this movement. And the frozen shoulders become very common. It's a physical problem today, Children as young as 11 are having, tendinitis because they're constantly using the mouse. And very importantly, as when we play outdoors, when we exercise, we secrete happy hormones. And I find children are driven more towards indoor games than going outdoors and playing. Okay. And human bodies were designed to move. Yeah. And if you don't move enough, it's not going to be healthy for us. The second advice I would give is to habituate a child's tongue to good foods, to not get them addicted to, a sweet tooth. What I find today is just, okay, kids ask for something, just give them. And I find, kids liking junk more because it's rewarding. Sugar is rewarding. And one important advice is sugar. Please reduce sugar intake or rather avoid it because this is one crazy thing. In the last 4 decades, we were blaming, butter and ghee for problems. But, the study has shown that sugar is the culprit, not.
Correct.
So the eating habits, cultivate children to eat healthy. You just give them because you just want to let them pass out. Okay, I'm busy right now. Okay, just take this. You want it, just take it. So now we start bribing children from childhood. Okay, don't disturb me. I'll give you this.
Yeah.
So this is not the right way. And third, an important thing is because we are into a world of digital boom, we cannot avoid contact with gadgets. It's important. So we need to have some kind of hygiene, screen hygiene that needs to be developed because it's impossible to stay away from it. Yeah, we cannot say, child, no, you cannot play video game, you cannot do this, you cannot do this. No. Have a discipline, no? Just have a discipline in place and tell the child this is what needs to be done. So these things are really important if we want children to be healthy and
Doctor,
to a healthy adulthood.
No, that's brilliant what you said. Your first point. I had a call from Bangalore about a month ago. The parents were desperate to speak. They said, fly down to Bangalore. Our child is 3 years old and he's showing autistic spectrum disorders and all of that stuff. And, everything, so they said, we've gone through to 5 doctors already. And they said, yes, autistic, we need to start speech therapy, all of that stuff. So, I spend time with the father and the mother. The child is on a screen from 8 in the morning till 8 at night, literally continuously. When you take the screen away, he shouts and screams. And he's intelligent beyond belief because he's consuming. So what we did, he's consuming. He's brilliant. He can, he can relate to things. So the only thing I told them was cut down the screen time and start getting him out to meet people. Lockdown's been difficult on children, but his whole world had become the virtual world. His whole world, intelligent but virtual. Today is the 4th week. Okay, 0 autistic spectrums, did all the tests. The child doesn't even ask for the screen anymore. They put him in a small play group in the colony with 5 children. His anger issues have come down when they pull it out. And my point is, it was just the screen time. It was nothing else. And you can't blame the parents. The parents had their own responsibilities. And, it's a difficult time for everyone. But something as simple as screen time, or the child would be put into a bucket of autism or on the spectrum. Now we need to start this in the next 5 to 6 years. It's unbelievable how you mentioned that as your first point. So, doctor, that's powerful stuff. I really appreciate this. Now, I want to ask you about you. What do you do to stay fit? What do you're fit? I know you meditate. How do you create that balance in your life? Because there are a lot of doctors out there who get angry when we ask them to be fit because they say, oh, you don't know, we don't have time. And I know that's an excuse because everyone has time if you make it. So you're an example there. You work with critical patients. Your mind is constantly thinking, working. You're dealing with emotional cases. How do you stay fit? What's your regime that can inspire not just other doctors, but other people that no matter how busy you are, you're able to maintain the discipline of fitness and the way you are today.
So look, to add on to the previous point, I started making videos on YouTube because people started telling me, what information you give very important. So in my YouTube channel on a topic called screen addiction, I mentioned I had a kid from Lebanon, who was, as you rightly said, this. I just asked the history. The nanny was just spending time in her own world on her own screen, and both parents are working. They don't know what happens at home. This child was just 16 months. Believe me, 3 weeks, as you said, transformed. So we are actually inducing, because on the screen they usually look at cartoons which don't make they don't make proper facial movement. They don't grasp, and they don't tend to speak because they're getting so many message units. They are completely charged. So, and one more important point to this is, today's world, I find kids are sleep deprived.
Oh yeah.
They don't wake up fresh in the morning, which is very, very sad, because kids need at least 10 to 12 hours of sleep to grow healthy. Their growth hormone secretion is based on the amount of sleep you get. So this one message is very important. If your kid is not waking up fresh in the morning like a bird, something is wrong. Change it.
Absolutely agree with you on that. Sleep deprivation, huge issue. We have parents who bring their kids. My child isn't growing tall. At the age of 9 and 10, are there growth hormone injections that we can take? We're willing to fly the child to the US. I'm just saying, you have your own growth hormone process in the body, and sleep is one of the best things for it. And children are sleeping at 10 at night, 11 at night, 12 at night. And parents justify this. You see, but everyone is doing it. And the second thing is but this is how life is today. And that's the problems and the consequences that we have to.
Conditioning. This is typical mass conditioning.
Yeah.
He was doing it. So you just follow the herd, be the sheep in the herd. So this kind of attitude. And when it hits them, it's too late.
Too late. Yeah. Yeah.
So coming to your question, see, what I have learned over a period of time is to manage time management. So basically, I design my life accordingly. Okay, so I set out time. This is my time meant for this. This is meant for this. So I make sure that I get enough sleep, because I find physically I have learned to listen to my body because of meditation also. So every body is unique. Every human being is unique. There's nobody like you on this planet. You're the single piece on this planet. So please respect yourself. Please listen to your body. If I don't sleep 8 to 9 hours a day, I can't perform. My performance goes down. I need to push myself. Number one. Number two, meditation actually keeps my mind regulated, keeps me calm and sane, and gives me the focus in life. If I need to do something, it actually adds value to it. Number three, eating healthy. See, until my personal experience, until 30, 35, your system is strong enough to bear the brunt of whatever trauma you give it. Whatever kinds of food you do give, it can bear it. But after a certain age, no. Like, you get a new Mercedes car, you don't service it for 5 years, it's fine. But after 5 years, even if it's Mercedes, it needs service. It needs to be maintained. It needs to be handled gently. It cannot be, abused the same way you abuse when you're young. So eating healthy is very important. And when I get into one role, so I just sink into that role. Okay. If I'm a pediatrician, I just sink into that role. If I'm doing therapy, I just sink into that role. And having said that, of course, life is not smooth. Life is not easy. There are ups and downs, but you learn to manage it with time management. So yeah, you need to balance life. Otherwise, no. And Luke, one thing I liked about your statement, you mentioned, if I lose today, I've lost it forever.
Yeah.
If I don't sleep today, it's gone. So it adds on. I call it a drop effect, a leaking tap effect. See, in India, we normally have leaking taps. As children, we used to see tap, 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 and your bucket is empty. You leave it. Next morning, you see the bucket is full, and you're surprised. How could it happen? That's what I was surprised. Only one drop water. So similarly, what you face today as a disease like diabetes or hypertension or anything has not happened overnight. It is because it's drop effect. Every drop counts. So if you're missing today, you miss it forever. So what needs to be done on a daily basis needs to be done.
Absolutely.
So that one message was very powerful from you. I was ignoring, like, earlier I used to ignore, theek hai yaar, aaj 6 ghante so liya, I could do one extra session kind of thing. But then I said no.
Wow. Doctor, I've just enjoyed this last hour with you, and where can people find you? I mean, I'm going to put all of your coordinates once we, put your conversation with me up. We're going to find out where we can follow you, all of that stuff. But could you tell people where they can find you, how they can connect with you? And everyone watching this, he's an extremely busy man, but one of the kindest people I know. But Doctor, over to you. Where can people find you? You mentioned you're on YouTube. What about Twitter, Instagram, or can you tell us where people can learn from you, learn more from you, and of course, take your services if they need it?
Yeah. So I have a website, natwarsharma.com, NETWARSHARMA, Sharma.com. See, I was actually very hesitant to go on social media because even before the book was released, my wait list was quite long and I didn't want to publicize myself. So I would say I have enough clients. If I go out, if I market, then it's going to be a big trouble for me. So I was not very active, but now because of the book launch, I had to open the accounts, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm there everywhere, but you won't find me very active there. But Facebook, yes, I keep posting every week something, which I've started doing regularly. So Natwar Sharma is usually what you can search for and find. And on my website, you can contact me. There is a contact page where you can send in your query and we'll definitely get back. So we also have a team of people who work, because I find like I can't work alone. So I have a team of people, and it's very important that, I cannot make people wait so long because I have limitations. So I'm going to probably start a course of my soon to teach people to do regression. Let's see how it goes.
Doctor, I wish you all the best, and thank you for all the amazing work you've been doing. Our patients have benefited so much with your intervention in between in so many different ways. And thank you for the beautiful book you've written. I'm going to post this up for people to actually get the copy. It's a must read. There's always a takeaway in a book. Sometimes I take away one bit of knowledge from it, or sometimes I take away a lot. This is a book where it just kept me going right through. Doctor, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to chatting with you again, probably on a part 2 of the show whenever we have time, whenever you have time, especially, so we can keep inspiring our audience to make that kind of change. I think there's so much of learning from the session we had, and we didn't even go into a whole regression kind of a thing, but it just made so much of sense. And like you said, I think simplicity is something that we should all slowly start to move back with. Patience, instant gratification, all these things are destroying us. There's no doubt about it. We see it every single day with every single patient. But thank you for your time, Doctor. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
We'll be in touch.